Hi everybody, this will be our last video because we are just about done. So this video is for me to go through with you your video submission that you're going to turn in that's going to be judged. That's how your science fair project is going to be judged. Now, in past years, I'm sure you know, we have had you create a board, like a big square board, and that's what is on display for our school science fair. But that's not what we're doing this year because of COVID. So there won't be any boards on display. There won't be any parents coming in and out of the building. What we're going to do instead is you are going to create a video that is up to 6 minutes long. So it has to be less than 6 minutes. And I am going to put all of those videos together into one giant presentation that will then be judged. So because that's very different from what we normally do, I'm going to walk you through the process of how to make that video, the rubric that the judges are going to use to score your video, and some tips and reminders to help you make the best video that you can. So the first thing that you should see on my screen is this document here, which says video submission, and this will be shared with you by your teacher. So you've got your research plan done, your experiment, your actual project is finished. Hopefully you took pictures and you kept a logbook. I gave lots of reminders for that, so hopefully you have that. You have finished your conclusion paper that you've submitted to your teacher. And now all of those things are checked off. And now all you have to do is make your final presentation for the school science fair. Your video has to be submitted to your teacher no later than December 4th. This is because our actual school fair is judged on December 10th. That gives me 6 days to put together roughly 100 some odd videos. That's going to take me some time. So if you're trying to send me your video on December 8th, there's nothing that I can do with it at that point because I'm not going to be able to, I would have to redo the entire presentation in order to put your video in. So you have to have your video by December 4th. I cannot take it late. And once you submit it to your teacher, they are going to then submit them to me. So on this paper, it gives you these bullet points here. And so I'm just going to run down basic rules before we get into what should be on the video. So the first thing is you can use any slide presentation you want. You can use Prezi, you can use SparkNotes, you can use Google Slides. Any presentation that you want to use is fine. And so basically what you're going to do is just like I'm making this video, you're going to have your face on the video, and then you're going to have your slide presentation on the other side. So you can use any slide presentation that you want. You can have no more than 40 slides. So you can have any number up to that. Your video can only be 6 minutes long. Can't be any longer than 6 minutes. So 6 minutes and under. There can be no other faces in the video except for yours. You can't have mom, dad, any research subjects. You can't have anybody else in the video. They can speak to you in the video, and I'll get to that in a minute, but they cannot be in the video. You also can't have any logos because that could be seen as advertising. So make sure you don't have like Nike in the background or Pepsi over here or anything that could be perceived as you advertising something. Any images, and I highly recommend that you use pictures, but any pictures that you use need to be credited. So if you got those pictures from the internet, you need to either have a little caption under that picture that says where you got it from, or you can speak the credit. So you can say, you know, this image taken from such and such website. If the images were taken by you, if they're your own pictures that you took of your project, that's great. Just be sure to say, these are all pictures that I took during my project. You cannot have any models, prototypes, simulations, electronic devices, anything that you built or designed or used for your project, actual physical, three-dimensional objects cannot be in the video. So I know some of you built bridges, or you built houses, or you built weather simulations. You cannot show any of that in the video. So what I suggest you do is you take a picture of what you want to show and then put that picture in the slides presentation. You can use any digital recording format that you want to use. So there's Google Meets, which is what I use. It is very easy. You just start a brand new meeting, you present what you want to present, and you click on record, and that will give you your face on one side and your presentation on the other side. But there's some other Google platforms that do recording. There's WeVideo, there's Screencastify. Any of those are fine. Doesn't matter where the recording comes from, as long as that recording can be played from Google Drive. So you're going to save your video to Google Drive, and that's how you're going to share it with your teacher, and that's how your teacher is going to share it with me. Now, your teacher may tell you to share it with me directly, and that's fine, but it needs to be shared by Google Drive. I can't get it attached to my email from some other, MP3, MP4, MOV attachment. It has to be a Google Drive attachment. Your slideshow, you're not turning in your slideshow to your teacher. You are presenting your slideshow and then turning in the video. We want the video. So there's no point in getting the slideshow and then a video that has the slideshow in the video. Just the video. That's all we want. Your face must be visible in the video at all times. It can't be dark. You can't have an emoji covering your face. You can't have a big curtain in front of you. Can't hold a sign up in front of you. We have to see your face, because these judges don't know you. They're not, they may not be your Congress teachers. They don't know your voice. They need to see that it is actually you giving them this information. Any videos that do not show your face are going to be disqualified. You must remain stationary during the entire video. So what that means is you don't have to sit there perfectly still like this and not blink your eyes and not move. You can move around, but what you can't do is get up and be walking around a room showing objects, or be walking around a lab. You have to be in one space the entire video. Your presentation can include pictures, slide transitions, animations, any little fancy hoo-dahs you want to do to your slides. By all means, go right ahead. The only thing that you cannot do is show a video in your slide presentation. So you can't have a video in the slides and then play that video, because we're already going to be watching a video. So no videos in there. I have included the rubric at the bottom of this form that I'm going to go over, and I tried to make this as least complicated as possible. So I've actually set up your slides template that it goes in order with the rubric. And the reason for this is because when your judge is sitting there with the rubric, they're going to be going down a list and checking off points based on what you did and didn't do. So you want to make sure that they don't have to fast forward and rewind and pause that video, that everything that they need goes in order. So I've set it up that way, and if you follow that slideshow template, this should already be covered. There are certain items that will be required for some projects and not required for others. And so I'll go over that in a minute. So you can skip certain things if they don't apply to your project, or you can add in extra things if you see necessary. There is no video editing or multiple recordings or splicing for your 6-minute video. Your video has to be recorded in one sitting. What does that mean? That means that sometimes if I'm making a video and I mess up halfway through, I don't want to go back and make that whole video again. So I'll just continue on as if that mistake didn't occur. And then later on, I can go back and I can cut out that little few seconds where the mistake happened. You can't do that with this video. It has to be from start to end and no pauses in between. So you can't splice videos together. You can't edit parts out. You can't insert parts in later. It's one video. So at the bottom of this document, I have given you a link to the district rubric that judges are going to be given in order to score your project. And so you can read through this. You can go through here on your own time. I'm not going to read it all to you, but you can go through here and you can look at exactly what judges are looking for. Now, part one, the display and safety check, I have put all of that information into the slideshow template that I'm going to give you. So if you follow that template, all this is going to be in there. Your research question, all of that again is in order the way that it is on this rubric to make it easy for you and to make it easy for the judges. Design and methods, same thing. Data collection, same thing. Data analysis and conclusion, same thing. Creativity, this and the presentation. This is on you because this is how your overall presentation is going to be judged. So if you follow the rules that I gave you and the tips that I gave you on that first document, you should be okay here. And then you're judged on your oral presentation. And basically, you can have a phenomenal project, but if you can't explain that project to somebody and you can't talk about it, then it doesn't do much good to anybody. So you have to know what you're talking about. And so that's this oral presentation, which is worth 25 points. So this is the rubric. Let's go into the slideshow template. So the first page or the first slide is going to be your project title and your project ID. This project ID is meant to protect your privacy. You don't want random judges who are not, they're not your teachers. We're not going to give them your personal information. So that's why you're given an ID number versus your name. So don't put your name anywhere on the slideshow or on any information other than the pictures that you took. If you're giving credit to the images that you took, you can say, I took these pictures myself. You don't have to use your name. Next part is the abstract. And so now the abstract, you don't want to sit there and read this abstract. When you show this abstract, you just want to maybe pause for a minute or let the judges know, if you want to read this abstract in its entirety, feel free to pause the video. But you don't want to read it because it's going to be somewhere between 200 and 250 words, and you only have 6 minutes. So you're not going to read all this. And basically what an abstract is it takes your research plan, it takes your conclusion paper, and it sort of puts them together to give a short snapshot of what your project is about. What did you do? What are your results? It's like a summary of your overall project. So I put here some points to consider. You want a basic introduction, short paragraph, 3 to 5 sentences. Basic materials, methods, and procedures. Don't list these out. Make sure they're in paragraphs. Make sure you use spell check and grammar check. Google Docs does that for you. What were your overall results? Does your data support your hypothesis or fail to support? And then a brief conclusion. What surprised you? What would you do differently? How does this project apply to the real world? So you just want to give, here's an introduction to my project. This is why I think, it was important to do this project. Here's basically the procedure that I followed. Here's my basic data analysis. Here's my results. Based on these results, I can form XYZ conclusion. Here's why that conclusion matters to real people. Done. I pointed out at the bottom that you already have this info. It's already done in your conclusion paper. All you have to do is sort of leave out the fluff, get straight to the point, and paste it into your abstract form. Now, the abstract form, if you click on this link, it's going to pull up this form for you. And this is a form that normally would have only been put on the winning boards at the school science fair, because this form has to be on the projects that are going to the district science fair. So normally I would just have you put an abstract on, and then those winning boards, I would replace that abstract with this form. The reason why I'm making you use this form now is because the video that you use for your science fair, for your Congress science fair, assuming that it wins, I don't want you to have to make another video for the district science fair. I want you to be able to use that same video. So that's why on the slide, you are going to put this document into that slide. And you're going to put your abstract on here. You're not going to type it on the slide. So you've got your project title, student name, school, city, state. And then you're going to fit your abstract here, less than 250 words. Choose your category. If you're unsure of your category, email me and I will give you that information. You do not have to fill out any of this other information, but it might be helpful if you do. So it's not required, but it might make your life easier. And so it's really simple. You're just answering questions, yes and no. All right, so this document is going to be included for this, for this slide right here. And if you don't know how to do that, it's very simple. You're going to turn that document, once you've typed on it and edited it through Cami or whatever, software you want to edit it through, you're going to save it as an image. And then you're going to click on insert and just insert it in there as if you would insert any other image. The next slide. So this should be one slide. The abstract should be one slide. The next slide, there would be two of them for Form 7 and Form 1C, only if needed. If I have not explicitly told you that you need to include these forms, you don't need them. You're going to skip this. You're going to go down here. The next slide is your research question. What was your overall purpose for this research? How does this research impact the field of study in the real world? How is it relevant to the real world? Only if you did an experiment. How did you determine that this particular experiment would answer your research question? So on your research plan, you had a question or a problem that you wanted solved. How did you determine that this experiment would answer that question? For engineering projects only, you also had a question or a problem. How did you determine that this design product or this process was going to answer that question or solve that problem? And then what was your hypothesis? And please make sure that your hypothesis is in the form of an if-then statement, where the if part clearly describes what you're testing and the then part clearly describes what you are measuring or the outcome that you are looking for. This should probably only be one slide, maybe two. The next one is your design and methods. So basically, there are questions here that you need to answer, and every single question that is on here is a point on the rubric. So how did you conduct your experiment or design process? What was your independent variable? What was your dependent variable? Every single one of these questions, if we go back here to the rubric, every single one of these questions is on here. How did you conduct your research? What factors did you manipulate? That's your independent variable. What factors did you measure? That's your dependent variable. So if you are sure to answer every single question that I put on these slides, You will cover every single step of the rubric and you'll get points for every step of that. And the goal is to get the most points, right? Because that's how you advance to, the further science fair. So it's important that you answer every single one of these questions. If you have questions about what your answer should be or what this question is asking, please email me. Please come to After School Help Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I'm happy to help you. I don't want you to sit there and be confused about what you're supposed to do. There's plenty of help for you. This slide may be 1, 2, 3 slides. It's up to you. It's up to you how many slides you want to make it. I mean, obviously, this is a lot of information. I've put all these questions on one slide, but the reason why I did that is to keep them in separate sections so that you can follow along with the rubric. But this doesn't all have to be on one slide. Don't try to, put 0.5 font so that you can fit everything on one slide. Remember, you can have up to 40 slides. So design and methods may be 2, 3, 4, 5 slides. And you're going to have pictures in there too. So, put those pictures where they fit. The next section, construction and data collection. Basically, how did you get your data? How did you collect data? What were you looking for? Talk about how you analyze that data. What was the conclusion that you could draw from that data? And what were possible sources of error? So all of that's going to go under this section. Again, this section does not all need to be on one slide. If you present, I think my template here is 7 slides. If you present something with 7 slides, I'm going to really wonder how you did that, because there's no way that you included all of the information you needed to on that few amount of slides. Remember, just because I put this information on one slide doesn't mean that you have to. You can put it on as many as you want. Maybe you want to put your data collection methods on one slide, and then on the next slide you put your data table, and the next one your graph or your chart, and then the next one your how did you analyze it, and the next one your conclusion, and the next one your sources of error, or however you want to do it. But this is just so that you know what needs to be included in the slideshow. This is not, oh, I have to put all of this on this one slide. Okay. And then finally, the last part is going to be your sources. You're not going to read this. It's just there because it should be there because you used other materials to do your project. You're just going to copy and paste your sources, and you're going to put them on this last slide. The last thing that I want to mention is that you are allowed to have somebody sitting there with you asking you these questions. So for example, if I go back here, what was your plan to analyze your data and test your project? Next question, do you think you gathered enough data? You can have somebody else sitting there asking you these questions, but you can't have their face on the screen, and their voice needs to be clear at all times so that the judges know that they're asking you questions and not giving you answers. The only thing that they can do is ask the question prompts that are on these slides that I've taken straight from the rubric. They cannot coach you or lead you to any other information. Okay. I think that I covered everything. So the form for the abstract is here. The template for the slideshow is here, and the judge's rubric for scoring is here. If you have any further questions, please feel free to email me or come to After School. I'm here to help, but it is November 2nd when I'm making this video. I'm not sure when your teachers are going to give this video to you, but please make sure that if you haven't started your project, that you get on that ASAP, because this video seems like, a 6-minute video seems like it's not going to take that long to make, but you're going to mess up. you're going to forget stuff. Your slideshow is going to do something you didn't want it to do. You're probably going to have to do this recording several times before you get it to what you want it to be. So please don't wait until December 2nd or December 3rd to try to make your video. Because if it doesn't go right or things are not happening the way you want them to, a lot of times when I make videos for YouTube, I have to do it 3-4 times because somebody makes noise in the background, or my kid comes running in the room, or, I lose my train of thought and forget what I'm saying. So please don't wait until December 3rd to do this. You should start your video like the beginning of December so that you have time to go over it, to make sure it's exactly how you want it to be. All right. Well, it's been fun doing science fair with you all, and I wish you all the best of luck. And I am allowed to take 10 finalists from the Congress Science Fair to the District Science Fair. So I am not the judge. I'm going to give this rubric to our judges, and they're going to go through our videos, and they're going to give me, I'm going to tell them to give me 15 winners. Out of those 15 winners, I'm going to have to narrow it down to 10. And the way that I'm going to do that is if you are a winner and you have your research plan, your conclusion paper, everything is signed, everything is done, and you're ready to go, you go in the winner pile. If one of those pieces is missing, you're going to be disqualified from that winning pile because I can't go back and do paperwork with you after you've done your project. So out of those 15 winners, I'm going to pick 10 that have everything done, and I hope to see you there. And if you have any questions, again, please, please, please email me. Okay, have a good day.